Hi, I'm Owen Fitzpatrick, co-author of the book, The Ultimate Introduction to NLP with Dr. Richard Bandler and Alessio Roberti. And in this video, I've been asked to talk about hypnotic language. What is it and how do you use it? What's the right way to think about using hypnotic language? Well, hypnotic language involves mainly the use of the language of the Milton model in NLP. And the Milton model was a model created in NLP based primarily of studying the work of Milton H. Erickson, who was a very famous medical doctor and a very famous hypnotherapist. Milton Erickson would be like a hypnosis machine. Whoever was in front of him, Milton would tell stories and use language in certain ways that would put the person into a form of trance. And what Richard Bandler and John Grinder found out was when they were analyzing the language of Milton, they started to notice that the same patterns he uses are the same patterns that great salespeople use, great motivational speakers use, great teachers use. These are patterns of language which are very persuasive and very effective at indirectly communicating a message in a way that gets into a person's unconscious. So it's unconscious communication. So hypnotic language is the use of unconscious communication patterns that allows you to be able to get the results that you're looking for. So it's not always about putting a person into hypnosis, it's about using language hypnotically. So what are the most important areas of this? Because again, I want to give you the basics of it. Well, first of all, a lot of it's about pacing and leading, connecting with what they already think, the other person. So the first step to hypnotic language is understand as much as you can about what the person is already thinking. The more you say what's on their mind, the more you say what's true for them, the more likely they are to believe you, build credibility for you, and start to think of you as a trustable and persuasive source. So what is it that they're already thinking is the first question you ask. Then the second question you ask is, what do you want them to think? And what do you want to lead them to think? And this leading part involves you being able to give them suggestions in certain ways. Now again, you can give them suggestions by a number of Milton model techniques, such as, for example, embedded commands. This is when you take a suggestion you want to give and you put it in a larger sentence. So for example, as you learn to do this easily, you'll start to notice how this works. So again, learn to do this easily, or do this easily, or notice how this works, are suggestions that you're giving inside of the larger sentence. The reason you're giving those suggestions is because as you say those suggestions, you're being able to do so with a downward inflection. Now, when we talk, we either use upward inflection, neutral inflection, or downward inflection. If you use downward inflection, it suggests you're giving a command. If you use upward inflection, it suggests you're giving a question, and a cross inflection suggests you're making a statement. If I want to be able to communicate a message and give you an embedded command, then what I do is I mark that command separately from the rest of the sentence by using downward inflection. So if I'm to say to you, I want you to practice these skills as you continue to improve. Practice these skills and continue to improve are the two suggestions. Now that's just one example. You've got negative commands where you tell a person not to do something, but really, don't think of green, and they think of it. And you've got embedded questions. I'm curious to know, and instead of asking the question, you embed the question in a larger sentence. There's all of these other things that you can read up on. But the basics is that there are ways of communicating a message indirectly. Presuppositions, where you presuppose who you want them to think rather than stating it directly, is another example of an indirect form of communication. So again, there's a bunch of different forms, but it starts with pacing, connecting with them, and then leading. If you're trying to influence someone, that's what you're going to do. You're going to be aware of what they're already thinking, connect with them, and then lead them to what you want them to think by, again, those indirect ways of communicating your message. And that's the key with that. Now, one other thing I will say is that if you are using it in hypnosis, realistically, hypnosis is about getting them into a state where they're focused attention and then communicating the message that you want. So a lot of this comes down to, for example, or a lot of hypnosis will be about relaxing them. Because the more that you relax them and get them focused on relaxing, the easier it is for their conscious mind to be occupied, so their unconscious mind takes in the suggestion. But again, a lot of times relaxing them is about connecting what they already think and then leading them to where you want them to go. Telling them and making them clear about what's going on, and then once you're connected with them, then beginning to give them the suggestions to help them to relax and to help them to go deeper into relaxation. And the more that you build that state of deep relaxation, the more they allow their conscious mind to relax, and then you can be more directive in your suggestions that you give them. That's pretty much the basics of hypnosis and hypnotic language and how it works. I know that there's loads more I could say, and there's loads more that you can learn about it and stuff like that. NLP courses, we do some great NLP courses, the Irish Institute of NLP, which I highly recommend. But again, for now, that's hypnotic language. I hope you found this valuable. I hope you found this useful. For now, I'm Owen Fitzpatrick. Thank you very much for watching.